Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Doing it now.
You could just text Tiffany to do it.
Yay. Good deal.
She's waiting.
And then once it's live, can I share it into Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Doing it now.
You could just text Tiffany to do it.
Yay. Good deal.
All right. We're live. She's waiting. All right. It kind of went back and then came back again, and I have to get off or it'll have feedback. But let me tell her now.
Happy Monday, everybody. So excited to be on with you today. This is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm checking it from my phone.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So this way I can see who's on with us. You can share. Hey, Audra. Good to have you on with us. We're still getting accustomed to streaming onto YouTube here.
Yes. I love it.
Thanks for joining us.
Something new.
Yeah, something new. Yeah. I'm loving it. Welcome. Share. Let people know that we are on. Definitely want to have a great conversation. We're going to talk about who you're with. We're going to talk about building relationships,
yes.
squad goals. We're going to dive right into it, and it's going to be really, really good. It's so important. I remember for a few years at the top of every year when I was doing Get It Girls, I would start with who you with. And we're starting off early because I want you to be prepared for 2020 to make sure that you have a team in place, that you understand how to select those that you're building with wisely, so on and so forth. So we're going to dive right into it. Jen, I'm going to do some sharing and you can kick off. And I'll follow suit.
Definitely will. So, the whole reason this conversation started, of course, for you ladies who are familiar with us, every fourth Monday, we're always talking about relationships. And that could be marital relationships, that could be family. It's really evolved into just a great conversation about how you function in life as a CEO with regards to relationships, because the reality is that affects how you produce in business. And so it's so important for us. But this week, Colleen and I were just talking in the background about relationships and how we found, as we've built this network and the branding and marketing business, how crucial relationships were to our success. And as this conversation evolved a few weeks ago, Colleen brought back this amazing blog that she wrote in 2018, talking about what was going to happen in 2019. And it was all about building, and it was all about relationships. And we'll share that out again. But I'm going to start with this, Colleen, because this component just got me. And in the blog, Ready to Build, it's on our site. We'll make sure to share it out. This is what you wrote. The truth is anyone can consult, but very few know how to construct. Once the time came for Jesus to lay down his solopreneur career, he needed a team. And you go on in the blog, I'm not going to spoil it. We shared it out in our email list on Friday, but you go on to share who are the kind of people that you cannot build with. And so that's the meat of this conversation, not just necessarily who you can't, but who you can't and who you should. Because you're right, we're heading into the end of the year, but there's still time to make those changes so that as you step into 2020, you may have been that solopreneur in 2019, but as you go into 2020, you got to start to look at your team in a different way. And I think this conversation is so timely, is so important. And you said it at the end of last year, how important it was going to be to build this year. And we've seen it, haven't we?
Yeah, we have, as a result of like just really building, I always talk about relationship currency. And as a result of being around the right people and making connections with the right people, we were able to go to London. We were able to go into new markets like Ohio. We were able to visit these, various places that we would not have been able to do so if it were not for the right people. And so I have my blog in front of me because literally I glanced at it and I was like, man, this is still so relevant to today, because who we build with, it's everything. It can make or break, your vision based on the people that we have around us and who are speaking into our life. And so one of the number one people I put down is you can't build with someone that wants your position. And oftentimes I think about Oprah and her good girlfriend, Gail, and I'm like, you see them together, you see their interviews together, you see them travel together, and then you see them kind of off doing their own things. And for so long, it literally was like, man, you could see the support between the two of them. You can see, that respect that they have for one another. And literally, I wrote this: secure individuals are stable and content with themselves. These individuals will always look for a way to complement you versus compete with you. They will always select positions that are mutually beneficial in more than one way. They see the value in positions that provide self-development, quality relationships, wisdom, financial increase. But insecure people covet your position and will get close to you merely to replace you. They will look to duplicate some of your mannerisms, characteristics, to draw attention to themselves, to prove to those in the team that they are better than you. They live in a constant state of comparison. They are tormented by thoughts of who or what they are not versus falling in love with who they truly are. And I read that and I was like, wow, like note to self, like, I think it's so important for us to write books, side note, because you can go back and say, like this was just so good and it's still relevant. And so definitely number one on the list are being very aware of those people that tend to have insecurities, that come in with more of a copycat kind of, I don't know what you call that, but
that's really it almost. They are the people who, I mean, they admire what you do, but as a result of looking within them to see where their similarities or that admiration will drive their own personal assignment, it does become replication, unfortunately, right? And it can spoil amazing partnerships, the opportunity for that.
Yeah.
So good.
Yep. So that's one of them. Which one do you want to go into next? You want me to just read them off, or?
I love that one. And I feel like, let me say this as somebody who's worked along some, I'm that fit, right? Like, I guess in our relationship, right? I think that there's a lot of things that we do have similar in who we are, but there's enough that's different that we find function really well together. And I think that that's something that we intentionally talk about, so that we can drive clear communication. And I think that that's important because there may be somebody who's watching today who has someone in their camp that is supporting them and they are very similar. And that doesn't mean that it can't work. Right. So I think that that's important, that clear communication helps, divide that line and find where you're a puzzle piece and not an exact replication of one another.
Yeah. And, you have to be mindful, sometimes when it comes to us as believers and we have conversations, sometimes we let our guard down. a lot sooner when we find somebody of like faith, and we may share our vision with someone. And some things you need to be very aware of in someone that's like that is paying close attention to their dialogue, their conversations.
Mm.
I had an instance with a young lady, which Jen is so very aware of, but in the beginning of this relationship starting to build, um, she began coming back to me and regurgitating my ideas as if they were her own. Hmm, that's interesting. You know, and it was really like, is she for real? Like, is this person for real? You
Mhm.
know, and this is someone that was, you know, very well known, and no problem with resources, and traveled and spoke and things of that nature. But for whatever reason in our relationship, she loved to pick my brain, and she loved to ask me questions. She loved to, and then it didn't hit me until it happened a few times that it was like, wait a minute, you know, this is something different. And so you have to be very mindful, and be aware of the language, and their intent and motives, because that doesn't often come immediately. You know, some things are discerned over time, not right away. And so you just have to be mindful of that when you're building on your team. And so let's go into the next one.
Yeah.
Number
You
two.
you cannot build with someone that is not skilled and trained.
Okay, Jen. So you mean it has to be taught, not caught? See, this comes back to some of the things that we learned in church. Wait a minute now. So you mean I might have to take some classes?
Yes, absolutely. It is so important. I mean, we're building a business. And, I understand that businesses may start with an unction, with an inspiration, with a passion, with a hobby, even, right? That you just have a gifting for. But the reality is to build a strong business, and certainly relationships that are going to fuel a business, somebody got to have some skill. Somebody got to have some training. And if you don't now, be willing to invest in that,
Yes.
to recognize that, okay, we got where we are now with what we got, but to go to the
Right.
next level, it's gonna take something else. And
Mhm.
a poof, a touch, whatever, it is not gonna bring all of that. You gotta really decide to dig in and grow yourself.
Yeah, I think that's important. And sometimes in business, we want to hold people accountable to a standard that we ourselves are not even, making or meeting, or and that's why I'm so against the whole "it's caught not taught" mentality.
Mhm.
People are not just going to learn by being around you only. Like, we have to invest in training. We have to invest in making sure people are equipped to do the things that we're asking them to do. And so when we start our business, I think a lot of times what we'll do is we'll bring in family and friends, and those that are just available but don't have the ability. And then we're frustrated because we're like, you with me, you see what I'm doing, I'm doing all these jobs, you should figure it out, you should know how to do it, you see how I do it, you should just do what I do. You got to catch it, you got to catch my spirit, come on, you got to catch it. And so I know what they mean when they say that, to some
Sure.
degree. You know what I mean? Kind of understanding the heart of your leader and your boss, and knowing the vision and what they want. But come on, if this person it does not know how to spell on their own post, then more than likely they're not going to know how to spell on yours. If they are struggling with putting verbs, they, there, they are, they're going to do the same thing on yours. I don't care if they caught your spirit or not. They don't know how to like communicate it the right way.
Yes.
So I'll let you, do you have it in front of you? You can read what I wrote there in that little blurb, or you want me to
It's
read
so good. Yes. When natural talent is met with training, a master is born. Look for people that are gifted yet disciplined enough to undergo a time of study and development. These individuals never arrive, but are always looking to improve.
And that's it, period, point blank. And I want to see us succeed. One of the interviews that I posted on Tyler, right? Yes.
Tyler
Um,
Perry.
thank you. I don't
Mhm.
know why it sounded weird, his name, for a second, like I was messing it up. But he was talking about when he finally got that connection and that mentorship and had the ability to sit with Oprah and had the ability to sit with those that were running Lionsgate and can pick their brain and get information. How do I handle this? How do I handle that? And he was so specific in this short 10-minute interview, but he talked about how his family member that was helping him with the books, he had to replace her. You know, we're moving into millions and billions of dollars and all the things he was doing. He had to find someone that knew what they were doing. Like she couldn't just write things down anymore and just keep track of it the way she did it when it was just thousands of dollars. He had to hire someone that knew what they were doing because it cost him millions of dollars by not doing it. You know, so sometimes we'll sit back and say, I can't afford to do this. I can't afford to hire. I can't afford, but you got to come to a place where you realize you cannot afford the opposite.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Not do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I literally am just like, yeah, we got to move. We got to do that. We got to do better. Okay. So let's go to number 3. You cannot build with someone who lacks integrity and wisdom. Transparency and truth allow for proper adjustments and growth. When someone moves in deceit and manipulation, it will always bring confusion and drama. Building is hard enough when done in light. Imagine building in the dark. It's impossible.
Impossible.
Character.
It is everything. Because the reality is, you can help someone get the skills and the training they need. But if they have a heart issue, they have a character issue, whether that comes to light in the early parts of the relationship or in the latter, it's going to come to light. Yeah. And discernment, I think a prayer life, I mean, as we've always talked about, it's just so key. And not being so quick to bring people on, even though you're desperate for the support and the help. That is not the place. I mean, that is the place, I should say, where the enemy gets in and we make poor decisions. You got to be able to slow down and do it right. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I get it. Like when you're a visionary and you want to do things, and I'm very much I get bored, a little ADHD. I'm like, oh, what are we going to do next? And it's not happening quick enough. But you realize that laying a proper foundation is just so key, you know, making sure that people are understanding when they show up. The vision so clear that if I were not able to expound, if I were not able to be present, that someone can still sit down, look at it, read it, and do it. You know what I mean? Like, is it really that clear? And I've been challenging myself over the last few years to really get that clear, you know, that people can come in, understand their part of the vision and move with it freely. And one of the things I think is also so key when you're working with people and they're getting to know you and you're understanding, it's kind of reverse engineering the role. So ideally, you'll hire somebody for a position and they get in it, and on paper they look like they can fulfill, right? But when they're in that space, you realize they might not be that good, you know what I mean, at this particular thing. And so rather than get frustrated and rather than get to a place to where, you know, it's not going to work and just start over from scratch, you can find and create a role for them that fits in that area. You know what I mean? So I think that even that is a form of just integrity, because I get it. Some people, not some, a lot of people make their paperwork look a lot better. You know what I mean? Like it's actually really common to jazz up your resume and jazz up your, you know, your portfolio. And yeah, you do makeup, but that's a filtered image. Yeah, okay. So when you get that person there, you know, and you realize, oh, there's still some work yet to be done. I guess all in all, I'm saying is you gotta be able to move in on their strengths. Like everything is not just a wash, you know?
Totally agree. And I think that does have to do with integrity, right? That you're pulling people in who are going to be honest about what their capabilities are. And that can be tough to vet. But I think if we understand at the foundation of who they are interested in the vision and the mission of what you're looking to do. They're a fit and a driver for creating a great culture, that you're right. You know, wisdom is finding a great fit to continue to work with somebody. I think wisdom then is also when you do sniff out somebody who is there with ulterior motives, and they came in just to fit in and to learn what it is you do, possibly to go out and do it themselves, that we have no problem cutting that at its root and recognizing how really cancerous those kind of people can be to the culture and the business that you've created, and that business is business, and you've got to make those tough decisions as well too.
And it's not that's not easy. That's not easy at all. But it is what it is,
It is, and you know what we've done strategically and how we bring on teams are to give a 90-day period, to give us the opportunity after numerous interviews. For staff, we usually have a process that's at least 3 or 4 steps in terms of sit down interview, phone interview, that they've made it through that. We still have a 90-day period to say, you know what? This may not work out. And we're okay with being able to say, we've invested a lot in this person, but if 90 days, we're still not feeling it, it's, we've got to move on. And that's something I think that we've transitioned to over the last years or so that's been really helpful for us as an organization.
Yeah, let's add that additional piece too, because one of the things, I had someone reach out to me. We spoke on the same platform in Houston, and she has a thriving ministry, and she's also getting into, she's all about financial building and wealth and education, financial literacy, so on and so forth. And she messaged me and she said, "Oh my goodness, I'm looking at everything you're doing, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want to coach, I want to travel, I want to empower women and men in the area of financial literacy. But I'm having a hard time building my team. What are some of the things that you do?" And she had a chance to meet Tiffany because Tiffany was on the road with me. And she was like, "I need someone," like she said, "the way she handled me at your vendor table was absolutely amazing. I meant to tell you about this." And she literally was just going on and on. "How did you find a fit?" And I said, "One of the things we did that was different, not only did we have the several interviews with you and other leaders in our industry, in our team, but was a personality assessment."
Yes.
And so I said, I worked so very well with my girlfriend Jen that I knew someone else coming on, that we knew it would be a fit if their personalities were similar. Now, we have never done that before.
No.
We've never done that before. And so the personality assessment was good. And so I'm looking forward to our upcoming class. So you want to be an entrepreneur that we're putting together so we can give people those same tools that we're using to build and travel and all that good stuff. So that was also key.
It was.
Like, "That's brilliant."
And you know what? And what really, I think what we found and what realized, it was very strategic this time, was that we both had great discernment, right? We know that the past people we've worked with were good, but there was just something that was a little off. And a feeling can get you only so far, but the data tells you everything. And when somebody takes a personality test, believing that hopefully they're being very truthful in it, and that's what we really guided and asked for, you get the perfect fit. And I thought it was amazing when Tiffany came back. Our desire was to have someone that was a fit and similar in how I work with you. And literally her personality was the exact same as mine.
Right. It
was crazy.
It really was. And so I'm so grateful for that, that worked out, and even building on her strengths in our team as we get to know her. She's online right now. She's posting in the group and on YouTube, and she's the one hosting you guys there. But, it just really makes a big difference. So we talked about, okay, so just to recap, number one, you cannot build with someone that wants your position. Absolutely not. Be mindful of the language, be mindful of just let them speak, get quiet, get to know people. You said something too at the beginning, the difference between consulting and constructing. I often talk about that too. So kind of take a look to see if someone's walking what they're talking, right? That's very key. 2, you can't build with someone that's not skilled or trained. So in short, it's not just caught, but it's taught. So you may find someone you can work with and gel with. However, they still need to be trained in that specific area. Number 3, you can't build with someone who lacks integrity and wisdom. That speaks for itself, right? Number 4, you cannot build with someone who's lazy, pessimistic, and emotionally unstable. And so here's what I said. This was written in preparation for 2019. It's so good. Okay, these individuals will shoot down ideas before they are even mentioned. Like, I barely got it off my tongue, and you're already like, nah, 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 we can't. It's too much. I can't. Okay, they're fear of the unknown, and they fear the unknown and hate doing anything that takes them out of their comfort zone. Change is their nemesis, and they are only comfortable with what they can control. These individuals can be cancers to a team and look to join forces with those that can be convinced during a time of weakness to agree with them. The best way to handle this individual is accountability, create an environment that is solutions based, and and solutions based, period, where if there is a just complaint or issue, they are expected to research and provide solutions. Now that's so good.
It's so good. And there's like so much we could talk about right here, but let me just say this. There are going to be people who are going to come alongside you. I can compare even myself to Colleen. She is full of vision. She is full of ideas. And I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that she comes up with. I just have to take a deep breath and I have to take it in. And not that I have fear of change, but our personalities in that way are very different.
Yep.
Now, so you have to have discernment for that. But as someone who sits in this seat and hears some of the ideas that I'm like, oh my Lord, how is that going to happen? But I am tied enough to what the assignment is for this organization, the vision, that I believe that we can figure it out together, even though I may be shaking in my boots and walking on water trying to figure it out, right? So there's different, right? There's difference in finding someone who may be a little bit more conservative in their decision making,
absolutely,
a little risk averse,
absolutely,
than someone though who is like, there's just no way that's going to work.
Yeah, great balance. I like how you balance that. Mm-hmm.
You can't have that, because that one seed, especially when you're trying to do something great, especially when your business is impacting lives, thousands of lives, it's changing your region, it is impacting nations, right? Like, that's some big stuff. And that little bit of seed of doubt, when you are a team that needs to be walking on water on a daily basis, that needs to be truly faithing it out, will be the seed that sows discord, that does become that cancer that can literally stop forward movement and progress at the rate that it's supposed to go. And so you're better off with few full of faith than with the many who are going to be, whispering and murmuring and causing dissension in the ranks, for sure.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that I love how you balance that out, because it's walking through, and even for myself, as a visionary, as someone that can see so far into the future as to where things can go and how it can be, coming back to saying and respecting the process. So even that I had to learn as a visionary, it's like, okay, I have to come back into where we are. I'm way out here. I don't know if that's 5-10 years. And I have to respect the process and come back to say, now go back to that M factor that's at the beginning of my book. And that is, okay, how much money is it going to take? How much manpower is it going to take? How much marketing is it going to take for that magnetism to draw people into the vision, and so on and so forth? And then the mental capacity. Do we have the mental capacity in order to see this happen? And I literally begin to weigh those, like, I'm so grateful to be able to just say, okay, all right, Lord, because it can frustrate you as a leader. For those of you that are on here, it can frustrate you as a visionary, because we have seen it. We have seen what it was like to sit in a place to where the vision was so great. Jen and I are serving side by side and really a part of a huge nonprofit organization, and the vision was so great. But because the visionary has to come back, there was a frustration of, how do I get this vision to walk it out? How do I get to that place to where I'm able to see it step by step? How do I take this elephant and break it down into these little pieces and then dissect it in the team and say, you have this, you have that? Because that's what it's going to take. That the communication, the compassion, the training, all that. Do we have the finances to do it? Who, what, when, where, why? So not being frustrated by those questions as a visionary.
Come on.
Not being frustrated when someone says, but how? You know what? We're gonna work that. We're working through that. You know what I mean? And seeing if they have the ability to do that by faith with you, because that's what it's gonna take. That's what it's gonna take. I think about Steve Jobs and all that he went through, you know what I mean, to be the face of Apple and to really go in and try to convince people that what he and his crew were working on was the next cutting edge. And look at where we are today. I mean, I need it.
Seriously. And that's the thing. It is not a questioning of the vision, right? And for some, maybe it is. But I think oftentimes visionaries will jump to immediately think that's what it is, that you're questioning the vision. And it's not a question of vision, it's the how. It's you're asking water to be made into wine. And I have faith to believe that, but help my unbelief. Like, for those people on your team, sometimes they do need a little more. And I just love the way that you bring that, and extrapolate that idea, because we do have to be able to serve the larger vision. To get everyone else on board, you got to give it to them in bite-sized pieces. They can't understand all of it at one time, and serving it up even on a wonderful platter. It's just too much to consume. And so being able to break that down, being able to share that, and even being able to say, I don't have all the pieces yet, but this is how we're going to start,
Yes. And for those of you that are watching, drop your questions in the chat. I'm going back and forth looking at your questions as we're talking, because we're living this thing. Like Jen and I have been walking this thing out. Listen, CEO Chick started with just a t-shirt idea. I remember being at an event. I already was doing online meetups through what I called Gig, and it was called Get It Girls. And it was literally it was still faith-based, but I had a tendency to lean into topics about business. And that's when I realized that even within that, I have I'm drawn to entrepreneurship. I'm drawn to that topic, that discussion. And so literally, I remember being out speaking at Brandy Murray's event. She had me talk at one of her empowerment teas. And I remember there was a t-shirt I purchased there that said Mrs. CEO. And I was like, man, I would be a CEO chick. I want a CEO chick shirt. And so because I wanted the shirt so bad, I went and made it. You know what I mean? My Mrs. CEO, whatever shirt that I got, I loved it, but I washed it once and it started to peel. And I was like, man, I need to go I need to make my shirt. And so if you know me, I literally got a design done and went and printed these shirts. And the ladies in the Get It Girl community bought it immediately.
Crazy.
And people were asking, what CEO Chick, what is it? I'm like, what do you mean, what is it? It's a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Get the t-shirt. And I remember the Holy Spirit was like, hey there, hey, people want hello, and so I was like, oh, I think we're supposed to change the name of the group, because literally when it comes to developing a brand or a business or what you do, the name, it literally speaks to the actual identity of a thing. When you name a thing, it gives way to its attributes, or what I'm saying. So and literally just from that, things began to just kind of move into place. We weren't a membership based community at first. It was just all focused on a live event here and there, getting together with some women, helping them with branding, helping them with their image, because that was my space. And I remember saying, okay, I feel like we need to figure this. It just evolved, is what I'm saying. It began to evolve into what you guys see it as today. And it still continues to do that. And I believe that it will fill the need. It begins to fill a need. Your business has to fill a need. And so if we're sensitive to the needs of those around us, you have to be able to have your vision and still have it be the thing that God gave you, but still be flexible enough to say, okay, I gotta be adaptable and still meet the needs of people that are coming in, what is it that they are in need of. And so it is challenging. It is definitely unique, being a visionary and really being able to fulfill the needs of people as they come along, and then find a team that can help you to do that. So that's why we're having this conversation. Okay, Jen, so what was that one? Oh, lazy or pessimistic.
So you cannot build with someone who is lazy, pessimistic, and emotionally unstable. And then we round it out with number 5. You cannot build with someone who doesn't understand it takes a team. I feel like this can be very difficult when you are starting out kind of as a mom and pop kind of business, right? And maybe you already have somebody who has run alongside you for quite some time. It may be a family member, it could be a spouse, right? And you are making it, right? It's working for now, but you recognize you've got to go bigger. And there are sometimes those individuals who started with you who like the small. Yeah. They like being that person that you're depending on. They like being that person that you lean on. And it's kind of like, whether it's your husband and wife, it's a little Bonnie and Clyde thing, or it's your business bestie, right? And you've been in it together and you created this thing and it's working, but that next level means more people. And that can be intimidating for folks. They may feel displaced by that. You mentioned Tyler Perry, his financial or accountant, whoever it was, his bookkeeper, that probably rolled with him for a long time and finally knew the time had come that the shift had to happen. And you've got to have people around you who, again, as I mentioned, recognize where this thing is going. And they understand that not they're going to be replaced, but there may need to be a shift in order to bring on more people, more business, more opportunity, the expansion. And so you can't have people who just don't understand that ultimately it's going to take more people. It's going to take a team.
Yeah. And one of the things that I think can be the hardest when you're a visionary is understanding that the vision is what dictates your decision, not you. So as much as I love so-and-so, they're not a fit for the vision and where it's going. Wow. And so let me say that one more time. The vision dictates the decision. The visionary is merely just that, as organizations, they are living, they move, they grow. You bring someone in, it changes the dynamics of it, Mm-hmm. Roles change. A lot of times you have people that will say, I've been here for so long, or they feel they should be entitled to this or that because they've been there for a long period of time, but someone new comes in and has a greater impact. And so what's important is, as my job, I believe in trying to navigate through that, is just making sure that clear communication, again, doing my best in compassion to say, let's look for something that may be a better fit for you, that this does not end, or it may end, our relationship, but it's not in a way that is to demean you. It's not in a way to say I'm better than. It's not in a way, it's just no longer working. It's no longer functioning the way that it should be. And I think sometimes I'm speaking to myself too while I'm doing this, because I can pick up when something's not going to work and I want to cut it immediately. And Jen has to say, wait, now, hold on, let's just work the process through it. I'm like, okay, all right, let me work that out, because I'm a cutter. I'm good with scissors. I did hair for a long time. So,
this is so good.
And there's no love lost to me.
No, there never is. And that's what I love about you. I do, because I know, and that's where, when we talk about strong relationships, being vulnerable with each other and understanding who we are at the core, that I recognize that your quick decision it wasn't a quick decision. That's the key. It wasn't a quick decision to cut. You meditated, you thought, you prayed, and you recognized something needs to happen. So now that you've done all that internally, you're ready to take action. It's just what other people need to, be able to take that in sometimes, which I think is very similar for anybody who's a visionary, right? Like, you've been thoughtful. And so What I think, though, is so important to say here is leadership language. And I remember a long time ago, I'm gonna have to bring this training back up. Leadership language, how we share things when we're talking about the vision. You do such an excellent job of us understanding that, like, this is the vision. The vision is outside of Colleen Otero, right? So when decisions have to be made, I and the team that you work with are very clear. Decisions are being made because we need this to stay healthy. We need this to grow and evolve. And so it is not, I want this for me. I want this because this little baby here, this object, this vision, this organization has got to grow and thrive. And because you share it in that way, when tough decisions have to be made and difficult things have to be conveyed to a group, they recognize that it's not just because I feel this way and I want it to run this way and I want it to be like this. No, it's that I know that this is what's going to help this grow, right?
Yeah,
the
totality of it.
Yes. And so it's positioned outside of you, which is what it is, right? Any business, people talk about that. My business is my baby, and there's some good in that, right? And then there's also some bad in that, because you've got to recognize any great business. Oh man, I wish I had the stats. You all saw just recently the Kardashian who had the makeup line. Lord, I'm going to forget her name. Married to the rapper. Kylie. Thank you. Her baby could have been her makeup line, and she grew it and she nurtured it and built it to literally $1 billion business and wanted to just hold on to it. But she distanced herself enough from that bad boy to sell that thing off for multiple billions of dollars. And divested like half of her ownership. And so sure, it was her baby for a minute and she grew it, but she was able to distance herself from it enough to, in the end, have it become this amazing brand, obviously build legacy for her family that is going to last generations. And her name is still on it, right? Like, that's amazing. She constructed that so well. But I just have to say that's important, that as you are, even as a solopreneur right now, thinking about this organization you're building, that business you're building, that baby that you've been nurturing, you've got to get it into a position that you are making decisions about it because it's what it needs, not what you want, not what you feel, not that you think somebody's going to fit because it's how you like it to go. Maybe there is a little sandpaper moment. Maybe you all in your team aren't getting along right now, but if they're going to be the person that's going to grow this thing to where it needs to go, then you've got to be able to learn how to work that. So just kudos to you and your leadership language, how you've shared that, how we've been able, I think, to be so successful in growing it and really having the impact in such a short time is because of your leadership and thoughts on how to manage that.
Yeah, and that relationship currency is so key. And even in training and working with people, and sometimes being led by a fear of, we got to get rid of that as leaders, like the fear of someone of betrayal, you know what I mean? And so you have to step outside of that, and you have to be willing to train your replacement.
Come on.
Because it's a part of growth. You have to be willing to train someone that could possibly take your role. That's what a true CEO does. A true CEO works himself out of a job because you understand that this is one business, but I have it in me to have several. Once I understand the system, once I understand how to create a system, I can grow anything. And so in doing that, we get wiser. We do like our counterparts do, where it's written, it's in paper. I just had a young lady message me that I've been mentoring for so long that was living here, was my chef, and she relocated to Atlanta. And she's like, oh my goodness, I just got offered a space to do my retreat / restaurant. And I said, okay. And she was like, but I'm afraid. And I said, well, why are you afraid? Well, this guy is telling me I can have this space, and he's telling me to jump, just come on in. And I think he likes me, and so on and so forth. I said, okay, I don't care how much he like you, get it in writing, because if he decides not to like you tomorrow, then, so let's get things in writing. Let's get used to not just, the warm fuzzies and doing business with people just because we like them and they're cute and they have a skill set that we could use. No, get things written down, put systems in place, do things that will allow it to be scalable, put people in position that you don't like but can get the job done. Now that's a sign of true maturity, because it does better for the vision than it does you. There are people that I don't necessarily gel with, but they're excellent at what they do and they're fit for the CEO chick vision. That doesn't mean that we're breaking bread every day. You know what I mean? Because we might just argue or what, but that doesn't mean they're not supposed to be there.
Come on. And it takes maturity. And that's what this is really like. This is big girl conversation right here, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this that they've got to be able to really take a look at their vision and say, man, have I not built out a team? And I should have, because I'm hoarding the light. I'm hoarding the shine of being the CEO. I want to be the one that when it goes to that next level, that I get to be able to say, I did it. And the reality is all you're doing is really squelching that fire. You're putting it down. You are literally limiting, putting a cap on where your growth can go. It's unbelievable to think. Kylie Jenner, and Tiffany, you are the bomb. She sent it to me. She sold a $600 million stake in the business. And she has 50% ownership, or 49, they have 51. So she literally has less ownership than the other party, but had the maturity to say, this is what makes sense in this season for the growth of this brand. And I'm sure, like you said, it's in writing, there's systems in place, but wow. And now she's going to walk off and do how many other amazing
Exactly.
things?
I guarantee you next time we come back, we that's what's going to happen. There's other businesses that they're working on because they're not looking at that. Sometimes because we are first generation entrepreneurs, we're first generation anything nowadays. It's like we're still seeing the first to do things in our community. So because of that, sometimes we can be like holding on to it like for dear life, not realizing that that same thing that you learned in building that, you can now put that gift, that skill set and into something else. And so I think that's so key for visionaries that are watching this. Okay, so we have a question that came in, and then we'll just recap. And I need you guys to share this. We have about 13 on the live chat. I want you guys to share this. It's so important we get more people on these lives to get this type of information and dialogue and conversation as entrepreneurs, as minority women in business. It's so important that we get this. How do you grow without losing focus on what's important? Family, guilt. This is Ghislaine. In other words, how do you balance it all? And so I'll let you even answer that, Jen. You're really good.
Yeah, I think that first of all, we have to have a right idea of balance. And that there really isn't going to be this pie where everything gets the same percentage of attention all the time. It's just not reality, right? I had an executive that I was doing a training with once. She said, it's almost like when you're trying to land a plane, and a plane doesn't land with both wings exactly straight. And you hit the runway gently, right? No, there's a little here left, there's a little right. And it may be a few bumps as you come in, but in order to find balance, that plane has to be able to shift with the wind. And you have to be able to do that same thing when it comes to your business, when it comes to your family. I think that it's really important. And as we coach, we talk about this all the time, Colleen, with our CEO chicks, that you do have to be thoughtful in planning those meaningful moments with your family. You cannot leave those things just to, we'll see what happens. So, when we look at a monthly calendar, am I planning brunch out with the family? Am I going to kids' games and activities? And I'm mindfully building that into my schedule. Based on your priorities, you start there, and then you build out your opportunity for business. Some of our CEO chicks are working full-time jobs, and that immediately blocks out your 9 to 5, right? Monday through Friday. And so based on your personal priorities, you'll stack your time in from there. That may mean in seasons that, you miss an event, a game, right? For one of your kids. It may mean that you stay up until 2 in the morning on a Thursday night to meet a deadline for your business, but that's not an all the time thing. You've just got to be, I think, kind to yourself and recognize that as much as we'd like to be super women, that we do need rest, we need sleep, and you've got to be kind to yourself. But there are some real logistical things that I think you can do to make sure that you are finding that, that balance as you come in to meet those needs. What would you like to add?
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. I have nothing to add to that. And that's how we have to do it. You just prioritize and reprioritize again. It's an ongoing thing. It's no perfecting it. All right. How do you deal with having so many ideas and having so many people saying, I see your business doing this, I see you doing that, but it's challenging trying to accomplish all these tasks. And so I would say to that, that's a great question, Sakisha Hylick from Florida. That's a good question, because when you have a lot of people, we got to be careful, right? When people see our business, yes, I see it doing this, I see it doing that, I see it doing this. And okay, fine. I get people that want to say things about CEO chicks all the time. But what matters most is going back to what I talked about at the beginning of my book, Brand to Bucks. If you don't have it, grab it, because I talk about the several things that we need: the manpower, the money, the mental capacity, right? Mental strength, and magnetism, the ability to draw people to our vision. Okay, because without clients, without customers, it's not a business, right? It's just a hobby. You're the only one that's enjoying it. So with that being said, one, I do not allow what people are saying to affect me at all. But what I do pay attention to is what they're willing to pay for. Okay, so you could say all you want to say, because people will say you should do this, you should do that, and when you do it, they the last one. Where are they? They're nowhere to be found, right? They're not paying for anything. Girl, you should do a retreat over in Boca, and this would be awesome. You should bring the ladies together, and then you do the retreat. You put it all together, and that where homegirl at? She's like, oh girl, I can't make it. I had another mentee. He did his first event, and he literally changed the date because this lady said she was going to come with her team, and she never came. And he already knows. I'm like, I would have got all in your behind on that one. You don't change your stuff because somebody said. Okay, so that's number one. So number two, you have to bring it back in, and you have to focus. What are people willing to pay you for? And look at your business and break it down. There's this 80-20 rule that pretty much says that a lot of times there's a small fraction of something that we're doing within our business that contributes to 80% of the growth. And so what we need to do is take an assessment of our business and look at the numbers. What fills the need? What are people paying for? And give them more of that. The data does not lie. See, we can't get all in our feelings about it when you're doing a business. And when you go to the bank, you can't say, well, they said, and this one said, and no, what do the numbers say? The numbers say this is where people are loving your service. This is the area. This is the pain point that you're targeting. This is how well you're doing in that area. And that's what you need to go off of and do more of that. Don't just go off of what people are saying. You will find yourself running all over the place, just looking like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to please everybody. And them ninjas are nowhere to be found. They ain't buying a ticket. They ain't get a book. They didn't send a donation. They didn't cash app you. They didn't do any of that. So I will need you to focus on that space. Where do you serve people? What is the problem? Find it, fill it, and do more of that. Go ahead, Jen, add to that.
So it's like we go for the likes instead of the checks.
Yeah.
And seriously, like I feel though like society has made this like thing, I'm keep using that word, drive so much of our behavior, and it literally clouds your judgment. It makes you decide to do things because you feel like you're getting the attention that your business needs or that you personally want. Woo! And so many people are so clouded in their judgment that they're going down a path that's like, sure, it looks good. You got the likes online, but the reality is, baby, you still trying to figure out how you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? Like you're concerned about a mortgage payment this month. I'm going to need you to get really, really quiet and to figure out again, what is driving dollars? And if what you're doing now isn't driving dollars, are you willing to just scrap it and start over? That's the kind of decision making that a boss makes.
Mm-hmm. And that's not easy, because sometimes we get so emotionally tied to what it is that we're doing, and within our businesses, and a lot of times when I sit down and I hear I'm like, okay, great, we have to create this box. There are things you love to do, and there are the things people love to buy from you, and that you need to find that happy place between those two. And I literally made the comment the other day when I was sitting in front of, I think it was like 300 women, and I'm talking to them about their business and their brand, and I said, at the end of the day, you might not even love it, you might just like it, but it's the thing that's going to bring increase. It's the thing that people are. I had a young lady months ago when I was in LA. She was on one side of LA known for lashes, and she's like, I'm tired of doing lashes, I don't want to do lashes no more. I said, listen, ma'am, I understand that, but this is what you're known for. Now I want to do this. I want to get into CBD, and I want to do a CBD lounge, and I want to move 2 hours away from where I'm at. I'm just so tired of doing lashes. I said, so what's the plan? So now you're going to move from, you're on this side of town doing lashes, you're going to move 2 hours away, and you're going to stop doing lashes. So what's your plan between there? Because that's what it's going to do. It's all, your money is about to drop, and that's what's the plan between here to here? And she's like, well, I'm launching in 90 days. I'm like, you're launching in 90 days and you're going to stop doing lashes. That's fine, but are you prepared for that deficit? Because that's what's going to happen unless you say to yourself, I know I feel this shift. I know I'm starting to come to a place where I no longer want to do lashes. I know that's what people know me for. They don't want to go to anybody else. I tried it. My back hurts. I mean, she started telling me all her pains, and I said, that's fine. Your back hurts, but you got the money to go see somebody for it right now. When your back hurt and you broke, you're going to be mad as all get out. So let me help you understand that you have to transition. You cannot just do that and think that people are, you can't. You have to walk through those steps. You have to begin to introduce the new things that you're doing, and then consider moving slower.
There's always a strategy. And that's the thing. So I'm not saying, and that's, let me go back to qualify this, because the likes and your feelings matter. They just can't drive all of your decision making, because likes and feelings will have you in a mess. And so maybe you are somebody who does need to transition, who needs to do something in business. I mean, you and I both have had multiple iterations of entrepreneurship. Like,
exactly.
This thing's gone on for years, and it's been many versions of Jennifer, many seasons. There's been an evolving, and there should be evolution, because you are changing as a person. But the reality is that takes strategy, that takes planning in order for it to be successful and, again, profitable, because we're here not for hobbies. We're here to build businesses of impact, for sure.
Yeah, so good stuff, good stuff. So it takes a team, all right? So that's the blog. We're gonna make sure we put it back out there again. Take your time to look for builders, and keep in mind those laws of attraction. Work on the builder in you. As you expand your capacity to build, you'll learn what it takes and begin to clearly understand what your vision needs. And as you build, people will begin to come. So build wisely. So that was, we did, for those of you just hopping on, we literally just dissected this blog that I did, and talking about building and looking for those to help you build your vision when you're bringing team members on and you're growing, you're expanding. And so we talked about it. And just in short, to recap, I want to just go over it. Number one, for those of you just hopping on, you cannot build with someone who wants your position. Number two, you cannot build with someone that's not skilled and trained. Number three, you cannot build with someone who lacks integrity and wisdom. Number four, you cannot build with someone who is lazy, pessimistic, and emotionally unstable. Number five, you cannot build with someone who doesn't understand it takes a team. And so we cannot do it alone. And it's so important that we think about that and we build on that. We really wanted to talk about that relationship building piece. As you all know that follow us, we have a BOGO going on. We've already started. So you can join CEO Chicks right now and grab a friend as low as $27 a month. You and your girlfriend, you and someone you know, a builder, someone on your team, you can both join. As of next year, we are bringing it in tighter. and what we're doing and what I mean by that. And I do that on purpose because for me, quality, it matters more than quantity. I want a quality group of women that we're working with. And so as of next year, all of our Mondays are going to be closed. We'll do a couple of free, just random lives throughout the month. But for the most part, we're bringing it in, we're closing the doors, and we literally want to get as many people that are interested in being in your building, whether it's part-time, full-time, part-time until you can come off your job. And so we want to do that. We want to work with you. We want to have those challenging conversations. We want you to be able to pick our brain. We have some amazing industry leaders that are coming on board with us, from publishers to several multimillionaires to from real estate gurus. I mean, we are bringing in the best of the best. And again, Mondays at noon, this is when we meet. This is when we dissect everything that's going on, from legal issues, financial issues, team building, branding, marketing, sales funnels, I mean, hiring, contractors, whatever the case may be, VAs. We have people that can help you administratively, taxes, to make sure you don't get all, Uncle Sam don't come and snatch all your goods at the end of the year. You got to know how to keep your books a certain way. So we're diving in. We need this. We need this. I did a post on my personal page this afternoon or morning. I don't even know what time it is. Sometimes I'm in purpose, and I can't even, time is just not of the essence to me. I'm doing what I'm doing. And I literally talked about the statistics saying that come 2053, that our wealth in the African American community and Latin communities will be down to zero, and that education is no longer an equalizer because it does not necessarily equate to the building of wealth. And I believe with my whole heart and my big toe, I mean, with everything on the inside of me, that we have to build wealth through real estate. We have to build it through entrepreneurship. We have to build it through community. We have to build this thing, and we got to do it together. And I want to talk about it in 2020, how the net works. We're going to show you how the net works, what that really means. It's not just coming together, doing something cute for Instagram and taking pictures, though we do that too. It's not just, getting dressed up and meeting someone. And no, it's more than that. How do you control the market? How do you create space for what it is that you have to offer? You have to know how to be of influence and affluence. And so I want to bring those worlds together. So I need you guys to go over to ceochicksonline.com/join, use the code BBB and join today. Now, listen, if you don't have $27, I think I'm going to start a prayer line, because it's so important that you pull people in. Yes, I'm reading it right now and want to hear what y'all have to say. Yes, 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 yes. Pure, sign me. We're ready. You are signing up. Type, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. I want to see you guys type that. I'm in, I'm in. You and a friend, y'all get together. You and someone, you might not even be best of friends. It might be someone that literally you just know. Y'all can really change the world together. There's some great things you can do together. When Jen and I work, listen, I'm telling you, we have built back ends of businesses. I got the look, she got the admin. She got the analytical side. I got the side that draws people in. She got the side to make sure it works when they get there. You know what I'm saying? So gotta build wisely. So I want you guys to get in, go to our website, join today, and let's get ready. 2020 is a time. Yes, Alex, I'm in. Who else is joining us? I see some people on here. Tamika, we already have members that are on here with us. Confident Woman Brand, just comment, I'm in. Just jump on in and get a girlfriend to join with you. Use the code BBB, take 50% off. Yes, girl. Audra, I need you to join. I know you've been following me for a while. Come on in. We're going to be doing some great, great things. And it's so important. Yes, Crystal, you just joined. Welcome, welcome. So excited. Tierra, yes, girl, come on in. I know you got even the $27. That's our classic level. That's at least just getting through the door. You can always move up. Erica, that's right. Come on in. $27, you and a friend. It doesn't get any better than this. Trust me when I tell you, we are not about hype, but how to. And even people that have come and only were with us for a year, 2 years. We've been doing this 3 years now. They are the better. Listen, that's what it's about. That's what it's all about. You take the information, the wisdom. Say it, Jen.
And you know what? The strategic partnerships. We have some people who came who are in for a year and have built relationship within this network that have moved on together. And we are still very close to them. Here in Chicago alone, we've got multiple women who partner with each other now and are growing entities and areas of their business as a team and exploding. And that's what it's about. It's coming here, it's cultivating yourself as an individual, building your skill set, and finding other people who are a fit to drive business at an entirely new level. And I know strategically what's going to happen in 2020 for our vision is creating these opportunities at a greater level. It's already starting with our mansion experience in January. It's going to be happening with Dominate as we plan that for spring as well. I mean, just rooms and places for our members only to really connect, to really collaborate, and to leave with transactions happening.
Yeah.
It's the year for manifestation for sure.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thanks for doing this with me, Jen. I love
Thank
you. This
you.
is absolutely amazing. I know we could talk about business, entrepreneurship, team building all the time. I mean, I love it, you know? And so I'm excited about 2020 for sure. All right, ladies. So that's it. We had you on here for an hour as promised. And that's a great lunch and learn time. And I'm hope you guys took something from it that you can apply. Definitely make sure. Yeah, let's Tiffany, can you give Audra the mansion experience? Go to CEO Chicks Online /event. I think we have like 5 spots left. It's in Orlando. We're meeting on what I'm doing is a full weekend, but Friday and Saturday is for my leaders only, and then Sunday we're opening up the doors to maybe about 10 women. When I tell you, this is not about popularity for me at all. This is about making sure that we create these great pockets and spaces to know you're getting the information, and that we're really able to map things out for you the way that it really needs to be done. It's not, it just matters. It matters. Intimacy matters. Great only. If you think about great things that were birthed, it was in intimate spaces. Trust me when I tell you, do your research. It's an intimate space. It don't happen in the masses. It don't happen in the large crowds. It happens in intimacy. It happens in rooms where there's discipleship, where the numbers are smaller. And I'm a big believer of that. And so I'm doing more intimate things than I am larger. So all right, ladies, thank you so much. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you. Continue to share this broadcast, and we look forward to connecting with you guys 2020, and for some of you sooner. All right.
Take care.
Bye. Have a good one.